They say old age brings peace, but I never thought I'd have to fight to keep my own home. Especially when the one trying to evict me carries my son's last name. Just months ago, I thought she was simply a confident young woman, perhaps a bit too self-assured. Now I realize she doesn't just want my son. She wants my entire life. The morning she arrived with her measuring tape and that calculating look in her eyes, I should have known. Some predators come with claws and teeth. Others come with sweet smiles and wedding plans. My name is Margaret Holloway, though everyone calls me Maggie. At 68, I've lived in this Victorian house on Maple Street for 42 years. My late husband Henry and I raised our son Ethan here, celebrated every Christmas in the living room with its original crown molding, and mourned together when his cancer took him 3 years ago. This house isn't just walls and a roof, it's the repository of my entire life. That Thursday afternoon in September started like any other. I was pruning the roses Henry planted for our 20th anniversary when I heard a car pull into the driveway, through the garden gate. I saw Ethan's familiar blue Honda, but he wasn't alone. A woman stepped out of the passenger side, tall, blonde, wearing designer sunglasses despite the overcast sky. 2 children tumbled out of the back seat, their voices sharp and demanding. "Mom!" Ethan called, his voice carrying that forced cheerfulness that always made my stomach tighten. "We're here!" I hadn't been expecting them. Ethan usually called ahead, usually asked if it was a good time. The woman's heels clicked against the brick path as she surveyed my home like a real estate agent calculating square footage. "You must be Mrs. Holloway," she said, extending a manicured hand. "I'm Vanessa Calder. Ethan's told me so much about you." Her handshake was firm, her smile practiced. Up close, I could see she was younger than I'd first thought, maybe 28, with the kind of beauty that came from expensive treatments and careful maintenance. The children, a boy and a girl, hung back, eyeing me with suspicious curiosity. "These are my angels," Vanessa said, gesturing to them without looking. "Liam and Sophie, say hello to your future grandma, sweeties." Future grandma. The words hung in the air like a threat. Ethan hurried forward, kissing my cheek. "Sorry for the surprise, Mom. We wanted to... Well, Vanessa wanted to see the house." "See the house?" I repeated, noting how his eyes wouldn't quite meet mine. Vanessa had already moved past me, her gaze sweeping across the front porch. "Oh, Ethan, you didn't tell me it was this big. And look at all this wasted space. We could definitely add a modern deck here, maybe some contemporary lighting." "It's beautiful as it is," I said, my voice steady despite the alarm bells ringing in my head. "Henry built that porch himself." She paused, tilting her head like a bird considering a worm. "Of course. I'm sure it has. Sentimental value." The way she said sentimental, like it was something quaint and disposable, made my hands clench around the pruning shears. "Mom," Ethan said quickly, "maybe we should go inside. Vanessa's been dying to see where I grew up." I led them through the front door, watching as Vanessa's eyes cataloged everything. The mahogany staircase, the stained glass window in the foyer, the parlor with its antique furniture. The children immediately began touching things, picking up a crystal paperweight, running sticky fingers along the piano keys. "Careful with that," I said as Liam grabbed a porcelain figurine from the mantel. "Oh, don't worry about them," Vanessa laughed, that tinkling sound that didn't reach her eyes. "Children need to explore. That's how they learn." The figurine had belonged to my mother. I gently but firmly removed it from Liam's grasp. In the kitchen, Vanessa opened cabinets without asking, peered into the pantry, even checked inside the refrigerator. "Ethan mentioned you cook a lot," she said. "Though I see you're still using margarine, we'll have to introduce you to organic alternatives." "I like margarine," I said simply. She smiled that practiced smile again. "Of course you do." Ethan shifted uncomfortably, running his hand through his hair, a gesture he'd had since boyhood when he knew he'd done something wrong. "Actually, Mom, we wanted to talk to you about something." My heart sank. In 42 years of living, I'd learned to recognize the moments when life was about to shift beneath your feet. "We're getting married," he said quickly. "Next month, and we were thinking, well, with the kids and everything, we were hoping—" "We're moving in," Vanessa finished for him, her tone suggesting it wasn't a request. "Just temporarily, of course, while we look for our own place." I set down my teacup carefully, the china ringing softly against the saucer. Outside, a crow cawed from the oak tree. Henry always said they warned of coming storms. "I see," I said, though I was beginning to understand I didn't see anything at all. Not yet. The first week, I told myself I was imagining things. Small changes appeared like breadcrumbs leading somewhere I didn't want to follow. My morning routine, coffee at 6:30 a.m. with the newspaper in the breakfast nook, was interrupted by Vanessa's green smoothie blender, screaming to life at 6:15. "Early bird gets the worm, right, Maggie?" she'd chirp, though she never offered to make me one. The kitchen transformed first. My comfortable, mismatched mugs, collected over decades of yard sales and gifts, vanished into a box in the basement. In their place appeared a matching set of stark white cups that felt cold and impersonal against my lips. The spice rack Henry built disappeared overnight, replaced by labeled glass containers that looked like a magazine spread but made cooking feel like a laboratory experiment. "I'm just helping modernize things," Vanessa explained when I found her removing my checkered dish towels, the ones I'd sewn myself when Ethan was in kindergarten. "These are so worn out, don't you think? I bought some lovely microfiber ones." The children treated my home like a playground. Sophie discovered my craft room and reorganized it, mixing 40 years of carefully sorted buttons into one chaotic jar. Liam left handprints on walls I'd just cleaned, tracked mud across Persian rugs, and somehow managed to break the kitchen window, testing if it was really glass. "Kids will be kids," Vanessa would say, never offering to clean up or pay for repairs. But it was the subtler invasions that truly unsettled me. I'd find Vanessa in odd places, studying the electrical panel in the basement, measuring doorways, taking photos of rooms when she thought I wasn't looking. Once, I caught her on the phone in the garden, saying something about assessment value and market potential. Ethan seemed oblivious, or perhaps willfully blind. When I mentioned the dish towels, he laughed. "Mom, they were pretty old. Vanessa's just trying to help." When I pointed out the children's destruction, he'd ruffle their hair affectionately. "They're just excited about their new home." Their new home. The word stung every time. One evening at dinner, Vanessa had insisted on cooking, producing some quinoa catastrophe that tasted like cardboard. Sophie announced, "Mommy says my room will be the prettiest once we paint it pink." "Your room?" I asked carefully. "The one at the end of the hall," she said brightly. "Mommy measured it yesterday." That was Henry's study, still containing his books, his reading chair, the desk where he'd worked on his novel that never got finished. "That room isn't available," I said firmly. Vanessa's fork paused midway to her mouth. "Oh, Maggie, surely you don't need all these rooms. It's just you here." "It's my home," I replied. "Every room has a purpose." She exchanged a look with Ethan, the kind of look couples share when they've already discussed something privately. My son pushed food around his plate, avoiding my eyes. "Actually, Mom," he began, and I knew whatever came next would hurt. "We've been thinking about the house situation, with the wedding coming up and the kids needing stability. We'll need to make some adjustments," Vanessa finished smoothly, "for everyone's comfort." The next morning, I woke to find furniture rearranged in the living room. My reading chair, the one where I'd nursed Ethan, where Henry had read him bedtime stories, had been pushed into a corner to make room for a garish modern entertainment center. "Surprise!" Vanessa beamed when I came downstairs. "Doesn't it open up the space beautifully?" I stood there in my bathrobe, looking at my disrupted sanctuary. The children were already sprawled on my sofa, shoes on, watching cartoons at maximum volume. "You moved my furniture," I said quietly. "Just improved the flow," she replied, but her eyes held something harder. You'll get used to it. That afternoon, while Vanessa took the children to their swimming lessons, I found Ethan in the garage, tinkering with his old bicycle. "We need to talk," I said. He didn't look up. "If it's about the living room..." "It's about boundaries. Ethan, this is still my home." He finally met my gaze, and I saw guilt there, swimming just below the surface. "I know, Mom, it's just... Vanessa has specific ideas about things. She's only trying to help." "By taking over?" "By making improvements. She says..." He caught himself, color rising in his cheeks. "What does she say?" He went back to the bicycle chain. "Nothing. It's nothing." But I heard it anyway, in the silence between us. "She says you're too old to maintain this place alone. She says you're set in your ways. She says it would be better for everyone if..." That night, I lay in bed listening to the house breathe around me, every creak and settle a familiar comfort. Down the hall, I could hear Vanessa's voice, low and persistent, punctuated by Ethan's occasional murmur of agreement. I thought of the crow in the oak tree and Henry's old warning. The storm hadn't arrived yet, but I could feel it gathering, pressing against the windows of my life. The violation of my bedroom was the moment I understood this wasn't about modernizing or helping. It was about erasure. I'd gone to the farmer's market that Saturday morning, taking my time selecting apples for the pie I still made every Sunday, a tradition Vanessa called quaint. When I returned home at 11 a.m., I found my bedroom door ajar. Strange. Since I always closed it, the sound of drawers opening and closing drew me upward. Vanessa stood in my walk-in closet, methodically going through my clothes. Ethan was there too, holding a garbage bag already half full. "What are you doing?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. Vanessa turned with that practiced smile. "Oh good, you're back. I was just helping you declutter. You have so many things you never wear. Marie Kondo says..." "Get out of my room!" The smile flickered. "Maggie, there's no need to be upset. Look at this dress." She held up my emerald cocktail dress, the one Henry bought me for our 30th anniversary. "When would you even wear this now?" "That's not your decision to make." Ethan shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, she's just trying to..." "I know what she's trying to do." I took the dress from Vanessa's hands, smoothing the fabric. "Both of you, out, now." They left, but the damage was done. My jewelry box had been reorganized. My medications moved from the nightstand to the bathroom. For safety, even my photo albums had been rearranged on the shelf, chronologically instead of by importance. But the worst was yet to come. 3 days later, I returned from my book club to find Sophie in Henry's study, crayons scattered across his mahogany desk, drawing directly on the leather inlay. "What have you done?" I gasped. She looked up innocently, making it pretty for when it's my room. I spent 2 hours trying to clean the waxy streaks from the leather, my hands shaking with fury and grief. When I showed Ethan the damage, he merely sighed. "Kids don't understand the value of things. Mom, we'll pay to have it restored." "That's not the point." "Then what is the point?" Vanessa appeared in the doorway, arms crossed. "It's just furniture." It was Henry's desk. "Was?" she emphasized. "He's been gone 3 years. Maggie, don't you think it's time to move forward?" The cruelty of it took my breath away. I looked at my son, waiting for him to defend me, to defend his father's memory. He studied his shoes. That evening, I found them in the dining room with papers spread across the table, real estate listings, renovation estimates, someone's business card with estate planning embossed in gold. "Family meeting," Vanessa announced when she saw me. "We need to discuss the future." I sat down slowly, my grandmother's chair creaking beneath me. "What future?" "The house's future," she clarified. "It's worth quite a lot. You know, the Historical Society contacted me." "You've been talking to the Historical Society about my house." "Our house," she corrected smoothly. "Well, it will be, won't it? When Ethan and I are married, we'll be family, and families share." "Mom," Ethan interjected quickly, "we're not saying anything has to happen now, but eventually, You might want something smaller, easier to manage. Like Rosewood Manor, Vanessa suggested brightly. It's a lovely senior community, very active, and they have bingo nights. I stared at them both, my son who couldn't meet my eyes and this woman who smiled while calculating my disposal. You want to put me in a home? Not a home, Vanessa corrected. A community, where you'd have friends your own age, medical care nearby. I have friends. I have a doctor. I have a life. Here, in my house. But for how long? Vanessa leaned forward, her voice taking on a concerned tone that fooled no one. You're not getting younger. Maggie, what happens when you fall? When you can't manage the stairs? We're thinking of your safety. You're thinking of my equity. The mask slipped for just a second, a flash of cold calculation, before the smile returned. That's a terrible thing to say. We're family. That night, I called my friend Gloria Pierce. We'd known each other since our boys played Little League together. Her voice was a comfort across the phone line. How bad is it? She asked after I'd explained. She's measuring rooms, Gloria, talking to real estate people, and Ethan just lets her. Oh, honey, Gloria sighed. You know what this is, don't you? You're being staged out of your own life. What do I do? You document everything. Save every receipt, every broken item, every conversation. And Maggie, check your important papers. Make sure nothing's missing. After we hung up, I went to the safe in Henry's study. Everything was there. Deed, will, insurance papers. But they'd been handled, moved slightly. Someone had been looking. I sat at Henry's damaged desk, running my fingers over the crayon marks, and felt something harden inside me. They thought I was old, weak, ready to be shuffled aside. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The announcement came at Sunday dinner, staged with all the drama of a Broadway production. Vanessa had insisted on cooking again, some elaborate spread that required my best china and the dining room I usually reserved for holidays. She'd lit candles, arranged flowers, even put on soft background music. I should have known something was coming. We have wonderful news, she said after the main course, reaching for Ethan's hand while her other rested deliberately on her stomach. We're expecting... Ethan's face broke into a genuine smile, the first real emotion I'd seen from him in weeks. Mom, you're going to be a grandmother again. I set down my water glass carefully. Congratulations! Isn't it exciting? Vanessa gushed. A fresh start for our new family. Of course. This changes our living situation considerably. There it was, the setup. The baby will need a nursery, she continued, dabbing at her mouth with my grandmother's linen napkin. And with Liam and Sophie already sharing the guest room, space is becoming quite an issue. You have 3 bedrooms upstairs, I pointed out. Had, Vanessa corrected, but your room is the largest, Maggie, perfect for a nursery and sitting area. North-facing windows, away from street noise. You want my bedroom. Want is such a strong word, she laughed, that tinkling sound like breaking glass. It's more about what's practical. A baby needs stability, proper space. And really, wouldn't you be more comfortable in something cozier? Like where? She produced a folder from somewhere. She'd planned this entire ambush. I found the perfect solution. My cousin is moving overseas and needs someone to take over her apartment lease. It's in Riverside Towers. Very modern. Excellent security. Elevator access. No stairs to worry about. I flipped through the rental agreement. $1,200 a month. Very reasonable for the area, and so convenient. Right on the bus line to the senior center. That's more than half my pension. Well, yes. But think of what you'll save on house maintenance, utilities, property taxes. She leaned forward, all false concern. Maggie, we're trying to help you. This house is too much for one person. What if you fell down those stairs? What if there was a fire? At your age... At my age, I've managed this house for 42 years without burning it down or breaking my neck. Ethan finally spoke up. Mom, please just consider it. With the baby coming, we need to think about everyone's needs. Everyone's except mine, apparently. Sophie piped up then, ice cream smeared around her mouth. Mommy said when Grandma moves out, I can have a princess room with a canopy bed. The silence that followed could have cut glass. Did she now? I looked at Vanessa, who had the grace to appear momentarily flustered. Children misunderstand things, she said quickly. No, I replied. I think Sophie understands perfectly. I stood up, my chair scraping against the hardwood. Let me make something very clear. This is my house. My name is on the deed. I pay the taxes. I maintain it, and I will decide when and if I ever leave it. Vanessa's mask finally slipped completely. You're being selfish. Think about your grandchild, your real grandchild. Don't they deserve a proper home? They have one, wherever you lived before you decided to colonize mine. Mom, Ethan protested, that's not fair. We're family. Family doesn't ambush each other with rental agreements over Sunday dinner. Family doesn't measure rooms while plotting evictions. I left them there among the candles and fake concern, retreating to my bedroom and locking the door. Through the thin walls, I could hear Vanessa's voice rising and falling, working on Ethan like a potter shapes clay. The next morning, I woke at 5:30 a.m. to find my bedroom doorknob had been removed. A screwdriver and the hardware lay on the hallway floor. Safety concern, Vanessa explained brightly when I confronted her at breakfast. Liam was worried about you locking yourself in and having a medical emergency. We want to be able to help if something happens. Nothing's happened in 68 years. There's always a first time, she said, spreading organic almond butter on toast. By the way, I made some calls about the apartment. We could move you as early as Monday. The moving company has an opening. What moving company? She produced another business card, like a magician pulling rabbits. These people are wonderful. They specialize in senior transitions, very gentle, very understanding about downsizing. I looked at my son, who was intently studying his coffee mug. Ethan, do you have anything to say about this? He glanced up briefly, then away. Vanessa's just being thorough. Mom, planning ahead. Planning my eviction, you mean? No one's evicting you, Vanessa said patiently, as if speaking to a difficult child. We're offering you a wonderful opportunity for a fresh start. Think of it as an adventure. I thought of many things to call it. Adventure wasn't one of them. That afternoon, while they were out shopping for baby furniture, using my address for delivery, I called Gloria again. She removed my bedroom doorknob. I told her, document it. Take pictures. And Maggie? It might be time to talk to my nephew. He just passed the bar, specializes in elder law and tenant rights. It's come to that? Honey, it came to that the minute she started measuring your rooms. This isn't about family anymore. It's about survival. I returned from my doctor's appointment on Tuesday at 2:45 p.m. to find my house in chaos. A moving truck sat in my driveway, its ramp down, 2 men carrying boxes from my front door. What is this? I demanded. My keys clenched so tight they cut into my palm. Vanessa emerged from the house, clipboard in hand, directing traffic like a general. Oh, Maggie, you're early. We wanted to surprise you. By robbing me? By helping you transition. She gestured to the movers. These nice men are packing your non-essentials, things you won't need in your new apartment. I pushed past her into the house. Boxes lined the foyer, my books, photo albums, Henry's record collection in the living room. They'd wrapped my grandmother's china cabinet in plastic. Stop, I said, my voice shaking. Stop right now. The movers looked uncertainly between us. Vanessa waved them on. Keep going, gentlemen. There's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding is that you seem to think you own this house. I pulled out my phone. I'm calling the police. Mom, please. Ethan appeared from the kitchen, looking harried. Let's not make a scene. A scene? I laughed, harsh and bitter. Your fiancé is stealing my belongings in broad daylight, and you're worried about a scene. We're not stealing, Vanessa interjected smoothly. We're helping you downsize. The apartment is so much smaller, you can't take everything. We thought it would be easier if we handled the heavy lifting. I haven't agreed to any apartment. "But you will," she said with such certainty it chilled me. "What choice do you have? This house is too big, too expensive. You're one fall away from a broken hip, one forgotten stove burner from burning the place down. Do you really want to wait for a tragedy?" "The only tragedy here is my son's taste in women." Ethan flinched. Vanessa's eyes hardened. "That's enough," she said, her voice dropping the sugar coating. "We're trying to do this the easy way. Maggie, for everyone's sake. But if you insist on being difficult—" "What? You'll throw me out of my own house?" She smiled, not the practiced one, but something colder. "Who said anything about throwing? You're elderly, confused. Yesterday you left the gas stove on for 2 hours." "That's a lie." "Is it? Ethan and I both smelled gas when we came home. Didn't we, honey?" My son wouldn't look at me. His silence was answer enough. "And last week," Vanessa continued, "you forgot where you parked at the grocery store, wandered the lot for an hour. I was there 5 minutes. That's not how the security guard remembers it. He was very concerned, said you seemed disoriented." She tilted her head. "A pattern is emerging, isn't it? Memory issues, safety concerns. Someone might think you need more help than we can provide here." The implication hit me like cold water. "You're threatening to have me declared incompetent." "Threatening is such an ugly word. I prefer considering options. The safety of my children is paramount. If their grandmother is showing signs of dementia—" "Get out!" My voice was steel. "Get these movers out. Get your boxes out. Get out!" "Ethan," Vanessa said calmly, "perhaps you should drive your mother to urgent care. She seems agitated. They might want to evaluate." "I said get out!" I must have looked formidable because the movers quickly began retreating. Vanessa held her ground a moment longer, then shrugged elegantly. "Gentlemen, it seems there's been a delay. We'll reschedule." She turned to me. "Maggie, I do hope you'll reconsider. The apartment won't be available forever, and evaluations for assisted living facilities can happen quite quickly when family members express concern." They left me standing among the half-packed boxes, my hands shaking with rage and something else, fear. She'd shown her hand completely now. This wasn't about space or babies or family needs. This was war. I spent the rest of the afternoon unpacking, putting everything back where it belonged. When I lifted Henry's albums from a box, I found our wedding photo tucked between them. We looked so young, so certain that love would be enough to weather any storm. "What would you do, Henry?" I whispered to his image. "How do I fight for our home when our own son has joined the enemy?" That evening, Ethan knocked on my door with its replaced knob. "Mom, can we talk?" I let him in but didn't offer tea or cookies like I usually would. He sat on the edge of my bed, looking like the boy who used to come here with scraped knees and broken hearts. "Vanessa means well," he began. "Vanessa means to steal my house. She's pregnant. Mom, hormones make people—" "Stop!" I held up my hand. "Don't insult both our intelligence. She's been planning this since the day she walked through that door." He was quiet for a long moment. "The apartment is nice. I've seen it." "You've seen it." The betrayal cut deep. "How long have you two been planning my removal?" "It's not like that. We just want what's best." "No, you want what's convenient, what's profitable." I studied my son's face, searching for the man Henry and I raised. "Tell me something, Ethan, when she's done with me, when she has the house and has pushed me into some corner to die quietly, what makes you think you won't be next?" He left without answering, but I saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes. It wasn't much, but it was something. That night, I sat at Henry's desk with a legal pad, documenting everything: dates, threats, lies about gas stoves and parking lots. Gloria's nephew would need ammunition. Because I finally understood. They thought they were moving in for the kill. They had no idea I was just getting started. Gloria's nephew, Marcus Pierce, arrived at 10 a.m. sharp on Thursday, looking younger than his 30 years but carrying himself with quiet confidence. We sat in my kitchen, while Vanessa loudly supervised the children's art project in the next room, clearly trying to eavesdrop. A Mrs. Holloway, Marcus said, reviewing my documentation. What they're doing constitutes harassment and potentially elder abuse, but our strongest position is property law. Meaning? Who owns this house? I do, solely. Henry made sure of that before he died. Marcus smiled. Then they're tenants. Have they paid rent? Not a penny. How long have they been here? 6 weeks tomorrow. He pulled out his laptop, fingers flying across the keys. In Pennsylvania, that makes them month-to-month tenants at will. You can serve them with a 30-day notice to quit. If they refuse, we begin eviction proceedings. But she's pregnant. Won't that complicate things? The law doesn't care about pregnancy when it comes to property rights. What might interest you more is this. He turned the screen toward me. As tenants who've never paid rent, they technically owe you fair market value for their occupancy. I leaned forward. How much? For a house this size in Brookhaven, conservatively, $3,000 a month, times 6 weeks. He calculated quickly. They owe you approximately $4,500. We can demand payment with the notice to quit. For the first time in weeks, I felt something like hope. And if they refuse to pay? We sue. Wage garnishment, property liens, the works. He studied me over his glasses. Mrs. Holloway, are you prepared for this to get ugly? They're family. Family doesn't steal your home. We prepared the documents right there. Official notice to quit. Demand for back rent. Cease and desist for harassment. Marcus explained each form carefully, making sure I understood every word. Serve these tomorrow, he advised. In front of witnesses, if possible. Document everything, any threats, any retaliation. You call me immediately. After he left, I sat with the papers, feeling their weight. Once I served these, there would be no going back. But then I heard Vanessa in the hallway, on her phone again. Yes, the Victorian on Maple Street. I need a full appraisal. The owner is elderly, likely not maintaining it properly. Yes, I'll be the point of contact going forward. That decided it. Friday morning arrived gray and drizzling. I made copies of all the documents, putting originals in my safe deposit box at the bank. Gloria came over at 11 a.m. as my witness, bringing her phone to record everything. They were all in the living room, Vanessa directing the children in rearranging furniture again, Ethan pretending to read while watching her with that devoted stupidity men mistake for love. I need everyone's attention, I announced. Vanessa barely glanced up. If this is about the chairs, Maggie, we discussed. This is about your tenancy. I handed her the papers. You have 30 days to vacate the premises. You also owe $4,500 in back rent due immediately. The silence was beautiful. Vanessa's face went through several transformations. Confusion, disbelief, then rage. You can't be serious. Deadly serious, and you've been living here rent-free for 6 weeks. That ends now. We're family, she shrieked, startling the children. Then you should have acted like it, and I handed Ethan his copy. 30 days, and I want every penny of that back rent. Ethan stood slowly, papers trembling in his hands. Mom, what are you doing? What I should have done 6 weeks ago, protecting my home. From your own grandchild? Vanessa placed a protective hand on her stomach. From a woman who measures my rooms and calls appraisers behind my back. Her face went white. You were spying on me? In my own house? That's not spying, that's awareness. This is insane, she sputtered. Ethan, tell her. But my son was reading the documents, his lawyer's training finally kicking in. This is legally sound. Of course it's legally sound, I said. I didn't raise a fool, even if he's been acting like one. Vanessa turned on him. You're going to let her do this? To me? To our baby? Mom, Ethan said quietly, can we discuss this privately? There's nothing to discuss. Pay what you owe and find somewhere else to live. Those are your options. You evil witch, Vanessa hissed. You bitter, jealous old woman. You can't stand that he loves me more than you. No, I said calmly. I can't stand that you're trying to steal my house. Big difference. She grabbed the children, who were watching wide-eyed. Come on, babies. Grandma doesn't want us here anymore. Grandma wants you to pay rent like adults, I corrected. Or leave, your choice. The slam of the door upstairs shook the whole house. Ethan stood frozen, still holding the papers. 30 days, I repeated. The clock starts now. Gloria squeezed my hand as we watched him climb the stairs. You did good, honey. Did I? I sank into my chair, still in its proper place, despite Vanessa's rearranging. I may have just lost my son. No, Gloria said firmly. You just gave him a chance to find his spine. What he does with it is up to him. The retaliation began within hours. By evening, Vanessa had called Child Protective Services, claiming I was an unstable elderly woman endangering her children. The social worker arrived Monday morning at 8:30 a.m., looking apologetic but duty-bound. Mrs. Holloway, we received a concerning report, she explained, standing on my porch with her official clipboard. May I come in? I let her inspect everything. The dangerous stairs Vanessa claimed I couldn't navigate. The unsafe kitchen where I allegedly left gas burning. The hoarded rooms that were simply furnished with a lifetime of memories. The social worker, a kind woman named Patricia, took notes and photos. Between you and me, Patricia said quietly as she prepared to leave. This is the third vindictive eviction report we've gotten this month. Your house is immaculate. You're clearly competent, and frankly, whoever called this in wasted our time. Will there be a record? Of an unfounded complaint? Yes, but it works in your favor if they try this again. She paused at the door. Document everything, Mrs. Holloway. People who make false reports often escalate. She was right. Tuesday brought a visit from Adult Protective Services, another false report about self-neglect and dementia. Wednesday, the fire department showed up for a gas leak that didn't exist. Each time, I stayed calm, let them inspect, collected their reports, clearing me. Vanessa grew more desperate. She stopped cleaning up after the children at all, leaving destruction in their wake. Food rotted in the refrigerator. Mysterious stains appeared on carpets. When I confronted her, she smiled sweetly. Oh, I thought you wanted us to live like tenants. Tenants aren't responsible for maintenance, are they? Tenants are responsible for damage, I replied, taking photos of everything. Thursday night at 11:45 p.m., she played her cruelest card. I woke to Ethan knocking frantically on my door. Mom, please, Vanessa's having cramping. We need to go to the hospital. I found her on the living room sofa, moaning dramatically. It's the stress, she gasped. You're trying to kill my baby. Then, let's get you to the hospital, I said calmly, though my heart raced, whatever else she was. That baby was innocent. No, I need rest. Peace, not some old woman trying to throw me out on the street. But I saw her watching me, calculating. This was performance, not pain. Ethan, call 911. I said firmly. If she's cramping, she needs medical attention. No, Vanessa sat up too quickly for someone supposedly in agony. I'm fine. I just need this harassment to stop. I looked at my son. Your choice. Ethan, your pregnant fiancé is either ill enough for the hospital or well enough to discuss her moving plans. Which is it? He helped Vanessa upstairs, but I heard her berating him the whole way. Spineless. Your mother plays you like a fiddle. Friday morning, Gloria called with gossip from her hairdresser. That apartment Vanessa wanted you to rent? Her cousin never lived there. It's owned by Vanessa's mother. They would have been collecting rent from you while living in your house for free. The pieces clicked together, a long con. Planned from the beginning, but I still didn't understand the pregnancy angle until that afternoon. I was gardening when I heard Vanessa on the phone in the yard, not realizing I was behind the rose trellis. Mark, I can't keep stalling. Yes, I know what we agreed, but the old bat served eviction papers. No, he still has no idea. The wedding's in 2 weeks. After that, it won't matter. Just keep your mouth shut until then. Mark, not a name I'd heard before. I stayed frozen until she went inside, and then immediately called Marcus. Can you run a background check on Vanessa Calder? Already did, he said. Interesting reading. 2 previous engagements, both to men with valuable family property. Both relationships ended when the families got suspicious, and Mrs. Holloway? She was married until 4 months ago. Divorce isn't final yet. She's still married? To a Mark Calder, separated but not divorced, which makes this wedding to your son illegal. I breathed out slowly. She can't marry Ethan. Not legally, no. Wonder if he knows? That evening, I made Ethan's favorite meal, pot roast with all the fixings. He came down alone, drawn by the smell and perhaps by nostalgia. Where's your fiancé? I asked. Resting, the stress, you know. Yes, I imagine bigamy is stressful. He froze with his fork halfway to his mouth. What? Ask her about Mark. Ethan, ask her why her divorce isn't final. Ask her why she can't legally marry you in 2 weeks. You're lying. I slid Marcus's research across the table. I'm trying to save you from a woman who's done this twice before. The pregnancy, the sudden need for housing, the sick mother or cousin with a convenient apartment to rent. It's all a script she's played before. He read, his face growing paler with each page. This can't be right. Call Mark Calder yourself. His number's on the last page. Ethan left his dinner untouched. I heard him on the phone in Henry's study, voice rising and falling, then silence, then Vanessa's shriek of rage. I smiled grimly and had a second helping of pot roast. The truth was finally coming home, and it sounded furious. The explosion came at midnight. I heard them arguing even through closed doors, Vanessa's voice shrill with desperation. Ethan's growing stronger with each revelation. You lied about everything. His words carried down the hall. The divorce, the pregnancy timeline, even your name, Vanessa Carter, not Calder. Details, she screamed back. What matters is us, our future. There is no us. You're still married. And this baby... A pause that stretched like eternity. When were you going to tell me it's Mark's? Silence. Then the sound of footsteps on stairs. Ethan appeared in my doorway, looking haggard but somehow cleaner, like a man waking from a fever dream. Mom, he said quietly. I called Mark. He confirmed everything. The baby, the scam, all of it. They've been planning this for months. She targeted me at that conference specifically because she knew about the house. I opened my arms, and my son collapsed into them like he hadn't since he was 10. The next morning brought beautiful chaos. Vanessa tried every weapon in her arsenal, tears, threats, even attempting seduction. But Ethan had found his spine, and it was made of steel. Get out, Sue, he told her flatly. Take your children and go back to Mark or wherever, but get out of my mother's house. You can't just throw out a pregnant woman. She clutched her stomach dramatically. I'm not. You have 23 days left on the eviction notice. Use them to find somewhere else to con. She turned to me, desperation replacing calculation. Please, Maggie, I have nowhere to go. The children have a father and grandparents, and you have a husband. I handed her my phone. Call them. The mask finally shattered completely. You sanctimonious witch! You think you've won? I'll destroy you both. I'll tell everyone how you abused me. Threw out a pregnant woman, You'll leave, Ethan interrupted, pulling out his own phone. Or I'll call the police about the fraud, the bigamy, and the forged documents I found in your bag. Yes, I know about the fake lease agreements you were going to trick Mom into signing. She went white. You went through my things? Like you went through hers? He smiled coldly. Learned from the best, apparently. She lasted 2 more days. 2 days of slamming doors, of accidentally breaking dishes, of telling the children their grandmother hated them. But Sunday morning, I woke to blessed silence. They were gone. Vanessa, the children, even the modern entertainment center all vanished in the night like a bad dream. The only trace was a note on the kitchen table. This isn't over. But it was. Marcus helped us file restraining orders. Ethan discovered Vanessa had opened credit cards in his name, but we caught them before major damage was done. Mark, it turned out, was grateful to know where his children were and started custody proceedings immediately. A month later, I got a call from a detective in Michigan. Vanessa had been arrested trying to run the same scam on another family. Our documentation helped convict her of fraud and elder abuse. She won't be bothering anyone for 3 to 5 years, the detective assured me. That evening, Ethan and I sat on the porch swing Henry built, watching the sunset paint the sky crimson and gold. "I'm sorry, Mom," he said for the 100th time. "Don't be. We all make mistakes. The important thing is learning from them." "How did you know from the beginning? How did you see through her?" I thought about it, pushing the swing gently with my foot. When someone looks at your home and sees only dollar signs, when they measure rooms instead of memories, when they talk about your future but mean your absence, that's not family. That's a predator. I was an idiot, Noah. You were in love, or thought you were. I patted his hand. Real love doesn't require you to sacrifice your family. It makes your family bigger. He leaned his head on my shoulder, and we swung in comfortable silence. Inside my house, my wonderfully, blessedly quiet house, every room stood exactly as it should. The pictures hung straight. The furniture sat where Henry and I had placed it, and the ghosts of our happiness settled back into the walls like old friends returning home. The crow in the oak tree cawed once, then took flight into the darkening sky. The storm had passed, and my house had weathered it. Just as I knew it would, just as I knew I would. Because this wasn't just a house. It was my life, my history, my heart, and no one, not time, not age, not manipulative grifters with practiced smiles, would take it from me until I was good and ready to let it go. Which would be never. The porch light flickered on, welcoming us to another quiet evening in the home that love built and determination defended. I smiled, squeezing Ethan's hand. We were home, both of us. Finally, truly home. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Please share in the comments below so we can connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Your experiences and perspectives make our community richer.